Hey guys, it's Kip here from KDC Marketing, and today I'm going to show you how to create a beautifully designed wireframe in Figma. So I have this wireframe here that I've created, and this is a landing page for KDC Marketing about Google Ads. So you can see here's the landing page. I'm going to show you how I created this wireframe. So I'm going to go in here and make a new frame, and I'm going to select wireframe. And I've got my wireframe here. And to start, what I did is I just put in basic shapes, and we'll get into this more on how you can make everything laid out really nicely. But I've got this for my image. I know my image is going to be here. I've got this for my text. I'm going to start with my text here, drive results, and let me see what that says. It probably is spelled wrong, but we're going to make this bigger. Okay. So we're going to copy the text from here, save ourselves some time. All right. And this text here is 64, this is 64, and railway, perfect, semi-bold. So, okay, so just really quickly, I will get these sections set up. So I'm just copying them over, and I have to make sure they match. Okay, and then we're going to resize that down, and then we're going to make a button here. I'll show you how to make a reusable button. So the button says start now, and we're going to turn that into a frame. So if we hover over this text, we're going to hit Shift A and turn it into a frame. And now you kind of see there's this wider box around it. We're going to add a fill color to it and change it to the blue that we see over on the other page. And because the text was black, we're going to change it over here to white so it shows up. And now that we have this frame, we can start to put margins on the side or margins on the top to make it bigger. So I'm going to go with 12 and 20, and I've got that there. And then I can make this into a component if I click this, and it will become a reusable button. So on my assets page, now I have this reusable button here that I can use throughout the website, and I'll explain why that's important in a minute. So what I'm going to do next is, this is the key thing to make a wireframe like this one over here, is we need to be able to use auto layout. So auto layout is just the Shift A. That's what we just did here to the button. It puts it into a container. And so we're going to put all these into containers. And one thing that is critical for web design is most web design works in variables of 4. So 4, 8, 12, 16, that sort of thing. So if you want to get something to space really nice and look really good, this over here on the auto layout, now that we have this frame, this is the space between items. And so we want this to be in multiples of 4 or 8. So I might do it at 40 or 24 or whatever it might be, but I want it to be in multiples of 8. So I'm going to do 40 because that looks pretty good. And then this is going to be my image over here, so I'm actually going to put these two in a frame as well and put the space between this at a multiple of 4 as well, so maybe 100. And really quickly, you can see that I've got this layout that I can then center, and it's starting to look like the other one. So I might need to go in and resize this a little bit, shrink it down. Looks like I might need to mess with that a little bit. We already have this basic layout. It's centered to the page. These two are connected. And if at any point I wanted them to be aligned vertically, there's lots of things we can do with auto layout. But so I've got my first section here. Then I know my second section is going to look like this, and it's going to be that blue color. And I'm going to just steal these text items from this other side for the sake of time. Whoops, I stole it completely. Okay, so we've got this, and then one thing that's really cool about this is, and I'll show you how I did it, is this is again using auto layouts. So okay, so I've got my number here and my explanation, excuse me. So I'm going to put these two in an auto layout as well, and I'm going to make them again a multiple of 8. So over here, this frame is 24. So we're going to do 24 over here as well. That's the space between the items, and we've already got our item there. So then I'm just going to copy this over and copy this over, and again I'll give these an auto layout. And if we look at this frame, these are 132, so we can space these out at exactly 132 away. Then we're going to do an auto layout against these two, and I believe it's 60 between these. It is. So we're going to do 60. And then we're actually going to center this here, and we're going to do a frame, an auto layout with this. So this is a whole section now. And I needed that to be wider, so I'll go back and fix that. So yeah, hopefully you can see that the auto layout is key here. And if I ever wanted to like unframe these, this is something it took me a long time to figure out in Figma. I just click on the frame and I'll do ungroup. And now this is ungrouped from the rectangle, which is what I want because I need to get it back to the full width of the wireframe. And now if I center this and I find it in the center of the rectangle, I can set up the frame again. So if you ever need to disconnect a frame for some reason, you just right click on it, ungroup, and now these are no longer together. But if I ever want them to be back together again, I just highlight both of them, Shift A, and then I can determine the distance between the items. So I wanted it at 100, and I can center it again. Okay, so those are my first two sections. And then to get that simple header at the top, I just did the gray shape here. And so you can see our wireframe's already starting to come together. And then I can throw an image in here, Google Ads image. Wrong image, that's for lower. Let's see, I believe it's this one. Perfect. So it's a little smaller here on this one, but you're starting to come together. And then if I want to drag this down, I go into do the next section. So you'll see a pattern here that I am just using the frames over and over and over again to create these content blocks. So if I ungroup this, these are all in frames. So I'm going to ungroup all these so just to show you how it's working. And okay, so these are all individual items now. So all I did is once I created those items, then I just made a frame for each one. So a frame for this one, a frame for this one, and they're all at 32 apart. So again, a multiple of 8. And then I put these 3 in a frame as well, and those are 60. And then I put these in a frame, and those are 60, and then this in a frame. And I'm just using the Shift A to do the auto layout. So again, really quickly, I've got my next section all framed up. Then I can center it on the page, and it's looking really nice. So that auto layout really is the key to doing this quickly, getting everything spaced evenly so your design looks really great. The other thing is if I wanted to use my button that I created, I can just drag it over and it is now on the page. So once I create that button once as a component, this button here is the main component, and then these are all instances of the component. So once I've created that, I can reuse that over and over and over again. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. I just built these sections off of simple things. So I would just make a shape, right? I would color that shape, and then I would put in the text. I put in the text here. So it's behind it, now I'm putting it forward, and then I put in the little icon and the paragraph, and all I did was make those a frame. And then once that was made a frame, I'll show you real fast. Then all I had to do was put these in an auto layout, and I want the spacing to be 24. Then I would add it to the rectangle, and this isn't going to be perfect because I'm doing it fast, but just to show how quickly. And then of course I changed the other one to be the management fee, and then I put these two in an auto layout, and I wanted them at maybe 40. So you can see how quickly you can build sections, elements, etc. with auto layout. So then I would just center those, center and everything. So I hope you're starting to see how critical auto layout is to making wireframes quickly. And it really is the fastest way to design. And then these other sections, same thing. I just built them using very simple building blocks, so rectangles and text, shapes and text, and then adding a few images like my icons here that are images, and my Google Ads image here at the top, and then down here this image to get started today. So I hope that helps to see just how quickly you can make a wireframe. I'm just going to finish this off so we can see that we've got it. And then what I would normally do is I would space all these out much better so you can get the sections spaced evenly between sections. You'd want to make them all the same size eventually. But pretty quickly you've got this landing page that looks well designed, and then I can put my footer down here, and I've got my wireframe. So once I have this wireframe, I can export this on the side. If I go over here to export, I have to select the entire wireframe, and I can click export, and then if I wanted to do this as a PDF or a PNG, and then I can export it and open this up and see how I like it. And obviously you can go as advanced as you want. So you could do this header as the real header, you could do this footer as the real footer. But I was just trying to get a new layout for a Google Ads page and highlight what makes KDC marketing different. And again, if you wanted to have two options and test different sections or colors, that might be a good thing to do as well. If I wanted this to be a different blue to see what that might look like, or maybe I have a red to make something stand out. There's a lot of things you can do to compare and contrast your designs. Maybe I want a more subdued purple here, and maybe I want to highlight that the 25% management fee, make that stand out more. And so again, I can really just style these designs however I want. Now that I've got the framework down, and I could change button colors. If I change this one button, all my buttons are going to change. Oh, except for those ones weren't the correct component. Normally they would change. I think it's because I pulled them from a different place. But anyways, you can really start to see how you could compare and contrast your wireframes here if you wanted to try different things out and decide which option looked best. The other way too to compare it is if you do the present button over here, and you can preview your options and go back and forth between the two different pages and see which one you like. That red does kind of pop. So just depends on what you want to do. So that's how you create a wireframe. Again, that Shift A, the auto layout, is so key, and that section between, this is the distance between items, and then you also have your margins if you wanted to add more margin horizontally and vertically, the padding. So hopefully that's helpful, just to show you how quickly you can really make something look professional. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.